One of Minecraft's keys to success is that it is constantly updating and adding new things to evolve and enhance its gameplay. It's no secret that the community wants a cave update. Caves and mining are the core aspects of the game, but they've basically been untouched for years. I think that Mojang will hear the community and eventually update the caves in the game. I think the Nether update is a trend towards this direction, as it added Netherite, which basically spices up the original ore progression system, which is good. New overworld ores, such as silver, which I proposed in my last video, are potentially possible now in the future. In today's video, I'm going to talk about specific ideas that go past the general ideas of simply better and more fun caves. Biome-specific caves. This is a suggestion that has been discussed by the community at large, so I won't be taking credit for it, but I'd like to elaborate more on the topic with my own thoughts. Right now, all caves in Minecraft look the same. The ones in the desert start off like just a little bit unique, with sandstone, but they quickly become the same as everything else. While new ores would be great for the gameplay aspects of caving, I think the visual aesthetics is just as important. One of the ideas I had was jungle caves. The jungle biome landscape is really hard to traverse because all of the leaves and logs on the ground, and the trees are massive. That intense foliage could be in the caves as well. Roots of jungle wood spreading through the ceiling or floor of the caves between stone, and random patches of leaves and more frequent mushrooms, like in the cave, would make it feel like you're actually in the jungle, just underground. They could add new and unique mushrooms which grow just in the jungle biome's caves as a new potion ingredient to reward you for going down there. If each biome's caves had unique items, then seeking out those caves and those biomes for their underground resources would be just as important as seeking out the biome for its above ground resources. Tundra and ice spike biomes should have their caves be made out of ice 100%, as well as packed ice. It'd be visually interesting to walk through an ice cave, and they could make a new fossil ore block that looks like the texture of packed ice, but it has like ancient bones stuck in the middle of it, so you want to go mine it. I don't know exactly what this icy fossil ore would give you, but it could be a way to get bones, nautilus shells, or just a new crafting ingredient along those lines for potential armor variations or crafting recipes. I wouldn't imagine every biome having a unique cave feature, but the really unique biomes like ice spikes, jungles, deserts really should have unique caves. Underworld. This might sound strange at first, but I'll explain why I think it's such a good idea. Overworld caves need an upgrade, and I believe that they will get one, but I don't think it's possible for them to be massively changed in a way that everyone wants. The overworld has its height limit, and as caves already start low down, Mojang won't be able to make supermassive and deep caves because there just isn't much space for them. They could increase the max height and lower bedrock to make room, which is a possibility, but I think it'd be dope if they just added an underworld, a new dimension underneath bedrock. I've wanted a new dimension in the game for a while, and this would be a really cool way to have a new one, as people want massive caves like how people do with mods or with programs. The idea for an underworld comes from Skyrim, which has Blackreach, a massive area underneath the main map. I envision the underworld dimension having bedrock ceiling and floor, but basically being endless to the sides like the overworld with a 1-to-1 scale of it instead of the 1-to-8 scale like with the nether. As it would be just under the overworld, I wouldn't say you need to make a portal to access this dimension. Instead, you'd go caving deep down at bedrock and find underworld gateways, which act as portals between the two. You could find these gateways to return to the surface if you're in the underworld, which would take you to the corresponding one in the overworld. And they'd be somewhat rare in both areas, so you just wouldn't be all over the place. You'd actually have to go and find them, basically. But what would the underworld have? The main effect of this dimension is to have a massive underground area for people to explore and for people to build in. But it could definitely have unique ores, such as an alternative to netherite, which is equally better than diamond, but has a different side effect of wearing, because netherite's gimmick is that it doesn't burn. Other gimmicks like this could be implemented for new armors that are better than diamond. I think this underworld dimension will also have some sort of biomes as well, sort of like the nether update. Blackreach was indeed my inspiration, but you can't argue that giant blue, luminescent mushrooms would be a really cool biome or area. The underworld could have mountains and valleys, and even underground lakes that are the size of oceans. There is just a bunch of potential for biomes and ores that would belong deep underground, and it'd be very interesting to see what they could come up with. I think that villagers would also have a place down here, with a unique skin for being underground, such as very pale skin, or even blind eyes, and their villages and houses could be built out of a new underworld stone variant. The underworld could have really unique hostile and passive mobs as well. The giant exists in Minecraft, but it is an unused mob, and I think that it could fit great into the underworld as a common enemy, as it would be a threat that you wouldn't just want to come down here until you're prepared. I think everyone has wanted more dragons in Minecraft for a long time, and I think an Underworld Dragon would be the perfect new boss addition that could be found here. It'd be like the Ender Dragon, but had different abilities, and you would have a different method of attacking it, as it wouldn't have the towers with the end crystals. Perhaps it could breathe fire, which would make fire resistance important for beating it, and it could summon different mobs such as spiders and zombies to work with it, as it's the master of the underworld. I think the underworld would have mobs such as spiders, zombies, skeletons, and anything unique they would have, but I think it would also lack certain mobs such as creepers, endermen, and illagers. Goblins. Regardless if they add an underworld dimension or simply just overhaul the overworld caves, I think a new hostile mob that is specifically underground would be amazing. All of the mobs in the game really spawn both underground and above ground. Zombies and creepers that you see in caves are the same things that spawn right outside your house on the surface. Phantoms and pillagers are the only exceptions to mobs that I can think of where they only spawn on the surface or if you're high up enough in the world. While it's okay that most mobs are both above and below ground, I think there needs to be a definitive cave mob. Cave spiders come close, but only spawn from their spawners. I propose goblins, because I believe they fit well into the cast of medieval fantasy characters that Minecraft has, such as zombies, skeletons, witches, and dragons. Imagine goblins to be a bit between a baby zombie and a pillager, where they're small and somewhat fast, but can use weapons such as crossbows, bows, and swords. I also think the goblins would be a good way to make new weapons for the game that can be used by both them and the player. For a cave structure, they could add goblin layers, which would act as an underground version of the pillager outpost with the goblins, or it could just be a fancier version of the common dungeon without a spawner and the goblins just spawn there naturally. If my underworld dimension idea was added, then goblins could be quite common there as well, with their own structures and lore, maybe like massive structures like a stronghold or something. At the end of the day, I'd really just like to see more hostile mobs with more unique Minecraft aspects, such as like the dragons and zombies and whatnot, and less pandas and mobs which derive from real world animals. Copper is my final suggestion. We totally need more stuff to mine, and I don't know exactly what ores they would add. Silver was my main thing, and it definitely seems like that would be the first thing if anything gets added, but I think copper definitely has a place in the game. While it could be used to help make bronze, I mainly see copper as a redstone component. Redstone is a pretty important aspect of the game for many people, and if they ever add more redstone-based block mechanisms, like in the realm of pistons, comparators, and stuff like that, they will need more crafting recipes. Copper and redstone can be used to make copper wire, which could send a redstone charge longer than normal redstone wire without a repeater. Copper could also be used for more redstone-type blocks, like I already said, and it could also be used for bronze tools and armor, because bronze is made from copper and another metal ore. So if they added more ores, you combine that with copper and you get bronze. Bronze tools would probably be pretty bad, in all honesty, and the armor would give you worse protection than iron, but it could make for interesting alternatives in the early game, and could be used well for adventure maps or PvP loadouts. A bronze block I think would look really good for builds, and it could be collected in bulk easily, because I think copper would be pretty common, and it would be a nice block to have, like a block of bronze. These suggestions were my ideas for a Minecraft cave update. I have more ideas for the game, so I'll make another video sometime outlining more mobs, items, and perhaps even biomes. Subscribe for that, and I hope you have a good day.